Hi everyone, back here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build your WordPress theme from scratch in Themes Generator. If you want to learn how to use the pre-built blocks in Themes Generator and build your site, saving lots of time, there's another tutorial, links in the description. But here what I'm going to do is we're going to start with a white canvas, okay? So we're going to drag the blocks and the basic blocks, and we're going to create the different sections. Themes Generator is based on CSS and allows us to apply styles to multiple elements using classes or to unique elements using IDs. What I'm going to do in this tutorial is I'm going to build a theme called Startup, and I'm going to use some elements that are going to be unique, and others I'm going to create other elements and they're going to share classes. So you will learn a little bit the difference and how to use them in this tutorial. Okay, so if you're ready, let's go. Now let's get rid of this. So I'm going to the bin icon. I'm just going to trash it. I'm going to clear the canvas, click on OK. So I'm going to get a white canvas right now, right? So we're going to start from top to bottom. We're going to start with the header and then going down until we end up to the footer. Okay, we're also going to make all these elements responsive. So first thing is I'll be switching the whole time between the blocks and the style manager. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out a container. So I'm going down to the layout blocks tab and I'm going to drag out the container. And again, this first thing is the header. Okay, I'm going to place the logo and the menu. So first thing, I want a container because I want a background, a colored background. So in this container, I am going to create a class. Before you start styling it, this is when you have to create. I just drag it out and I'm going to create this class. So to create a class, what you do is click on this plus button and I'm going to name it gray container. Done. So now is when I start styling, okay? When I go to the layout, when I add a background and all. So first thing is I'm going to layout and I don't want this with a max width. So I'm just going to type auto and the width it's 100%, okay? Because I want this to be as wide as your browser is. I'm going to leave the padding just as it is right now. I'm not going to touch it. And what I'm going to do is going to decorations and here in background color, I'm going to add my own color. So I have my swatches, my color palette prepared. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the gray color here, the swatches. So the hex number is right behind my camera. So I've just copied it from there and I'm going to bring it here. Okay, here in background color and copy it. Click intro and that's the gray that I want. Next, I'm going to drag out a % width box. So I'm going back here to blocks tab, to the blocks section, and here in layout blocks, I'm going to bring out a % width box with 2 columns. I'm going to drag it inside this container. So as you can see here, but I'm going to scroll up a little bit, these % width boxes have already the classes, so you do not need to create them. Before adding any element, what I want to do is I'm going to change the width, the percentage here. So right now it's 50% each. So I want this box over here to be 20% and this one will be an 80%. So image, the logo will be here and the navigation will be here. So as I said before, I'm going to going back to blocks and bring out the link block. Just drag it. As you see, whenever you drag, it highlights the box. So I'm going to drag out the link. Before I do anything, I'm going to create a class. I'm going to create a link and leave it like that. Next thing is drag out the image block and same thing, get it inside the link block, okay? It will highlight and the assets manager will open. So most of my assets are prepared. They're already here in the asset manager. But just to show you how to upload the images, I'm just going to upload one image, which is the logo. So this is the startup logo. Whenever it's done, just click on it. Okay, so this is how you upload the images. I'll just do this once. The rest of them I'm just going to open. I'm going to double click the image block, and the asset manager will open, and I will select from my asset manager. So this is the image start up, and if you want, I just open the style manager again, and here in layout we can set a width. I'm going to 190 pixels width. Perfect. Going back to blocks and the navigation menu, we can find it here in WordPress blocks, WP blocks. I want a right align nav bar, so I'm going to drag this one out. This is another element which also has classes that you don't need to touch at all. So as you can see, it has a black background that I want to get rid of. So to get rid of this background, go back to decorations, and here, as you can see, the background color. What we're going to do is delete this and type none. That's how you get rid. It's completely transparent now, so it gets the gray background that we want right now. So this navigation bar, what we can do is we can change the color of the text here, and that's it. The rest of the things we're going to do that in WordPress. So to edit a little bit the text, just go to typography, and here I'm going to select the typography, the font family, sorry, that I'm going to use, which is Helvetica. Leave it on 5, and I'm going to add this color. So if you want to see how it looks without the borders, then you can come here and click on this icon, so it will show or hide the borders. So right now, as we can see, this container, our header, has way too much padding, and here in layout we can see that it has a padding top 40, padding bottom 40, and also right and left is 40. So what we can do is we can bring it down a little bit. We're going to bring it into 10, top, bottom, right and left, padding 10. If you like how it looks, then we can move to tablet view. So I'm going to click on tablet icon over here. So in tablet views, what I like is to center the logo. So to do this with this %width box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the box container, okay, each of the columns. If you're not sure if you are selecting the box, then you can use this arrow. So right now I have the image selected. I'm going to click on the arrow. Now I'm using the classes as a guide. Now I am on the link, and if I click again, I'm selecting the column. So here in layout, in width, I'm going to type 100%, and also I'm going to select 100%. And now to center this image, click on the container, and in typography you can center this image like that. So I'm going to leave the header like this. Whenever we're done and we export, I'm going to show you how this looks. I know this header is way too big to be a tablet view, and also here in mobile view, what it does, it inherits the previous device, the style of the previous device. So right now you can see it also is keeping the percentage, the 100% percentage that I applied here in desktop. So I don't have to make any changes if you don't want, of course, here. So I'm going to leave it like this, and once we export the theme into WordPress, then I will show you how it looks, and then I will show you just a few tricks to fix this. Whenever you're done with the header, go back to blocks, and in WordPress blocks tab, bring out the header separator. Okay, so once you get it, I recommend you to drag out this separator because you will need it in order to export your theme into WordPress. And once this is done, let's go on to the next section. Now I'm going to create a nice hero image. So first thing, go back to blocks and drag out another container. So here in layout blocks, drag out container. And same thing, I'm also going to create a class. So before you start styling this container, I'm going to type the class name, which is hero container. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this max width because this has to occupy the same size as the browser. So same thing, type auto and the width is 100%. I'm going to modify the padding here. Padding top will be 150 pixels and padding bottom is 150 pixels too. I'm going to leave the padding right and left with 40 pixels, which is okay. And now I'm going to add a background image. So I'm going to hide this layout. And here in decorations, as I'm going to add a background image, I'm going to scroll down a little bit here in background. So click on this plus button and a layer will open. I'm going to click on image, and as I said before, my assets are already here. And I'm going to select my hero image, which is this one over here. I can choose if you want the background to repeat. In this case, I don't want it to repeat. Do you want it to scroll? So I'm just going to leave it like this and scroll. I want the background size. I want it to cover the container. And here we can change the background position. So I'm just going to move it around a little bit. You can choose right top, but I normally choose center or center top like this. Okay, so now I'm going to create a second layer because sometimes I like to add some opacity layer, a colored opacity layer. So I have one prepared. So I'm creating a new layer, which is this one, layer number 2. And I have this gray opacity layer, which is this one over here. It's a small squared PNG, so just click on it. And right now it's below the first layer, so just drag it up. This is how you move the layers. So it's very subtle. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I'm going to move the first layer up again and the opacity layer on top. So that's what I wanted to achieve. So here in layer 2, I'm going to open it. If you want to open the layers and edit them, just click over layer 1 or 2. And here, background repeat, I'm just going to leave it on repeat because it's a small square PNG. So I want this to repeat all over this container. Next, I'm going to add some text. So I'm going back to the blocks section here and drag out this text block. So before I add the styling, I'm going to create a class. So this is going to be called H1. Okay. And now going back to the typography tab here, so I'm going to select Helvetica. The font size is something big, like 64 pixels. I'm going to center it, and let me see what else. I'm going to add some, yes, I want it to be bold. And also, let's say the color, I'm going back to my swatches and I'm going to grab this yellow over here. So I'm just going to copy it to my clipboard. And here in color, add the hashtag, and here's how you add the color. Also, I'm going to add a text shadow. So down here you see text shadow. What it says, it just says none. So to add a text shadow, what you have to do is click on here what it says syntax sample. So what it says is that right now you have this syntax sample copied to your clipboard, so it's going to save lots of time. So go back here where it says none and paste it. This will paste automatically to your clipboard. I'm going to click intro, so that's the text shadow. What you can do here, this is the color and these are the pixels, so you can move around and play a little bit. See, I'm just going to leave it just how it is because it looks pretty good. I'm going to change the text. I'm going to use some lorem ipsum. I have a txt file here prepared. I have here the generated lorem ipsum. So instead of copying from any random site that generates lorem ipsum, I prefer to copy it here into a txt file, because if you copy it from other side, what you'll do is it will copy the styling too. So if you copy and paste it here, it will copy the styling. So to avoid that, to get it with no styling at all, then just bring it to your any txt file. Okay, now let's add a second text. So going back to blocks and drag out this text block here. Same thing, I'm going to create a class. Now it's called h2 and start styling it. So here in typography, choose the same thing. It's an Helvetica and the size will be 36. Font weight will be bold 2, and let's see, what color can we add? I'm going to add this white, and also I'm going to center it. Same thing here. I'm going to add some text shadows so it will separate the text from the background image. Same thing, click on syntax sample, and right now it's copied to your clipboard. So bring it here, paste it, and that's it. I'm gonna get some text, some Latin text here. For example, maybe just a little bit more till here. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. Below this text, I'm going to add a button, and buttons usually link to a URL. So first I'm going to add here in blocks, I'm going to add a link block. Click on it, as it's going to be a button that we're going to use across this theme. I'm going to create a class. So this is going to be button link. Now to center this, remember, just go to the container, to the main container, and in typography, like in text, just center it like that. Right now, the link is here in the middle, the link block. Now go back to blocks and drag out the text. Same thing, we're going to add a class. So select it, and here in class, I'm just going to type button. Now we can start styling it. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to select the element. I'm going in here in decorations, I'm going to add a background color. So I'm going back to grab this yellow and add the background color. Now the typography will be the same, Helvetica. I'm going to leave it here in 15 pixels, and let's make it bold. And the color, actually I want it same as this background here. So you can grab this color from the background color. You can go back to the swatches here and copy it. So here, go to color, and we have the text color. What we can do is delete it and write our own text. So I think this button looks a little bit too small, so I'm going to add some padding to make it a bit wider. So here in layout, let's make 15 pixels padding top and bottom, and padding right and left is 30 pixels. Okay, so this does look like more like a button. I can see, wait, I'm going to hide the borders. I can see it's way too close to H2. So again, click over the link, and I'm going to add some margin top. I think like 30 pixels will be enough. Now it's looking better. One last thing before we move on to tablet view and mobile view is I'm going to add a max width to this text, because else, if now right here the workspace is smaller than a real browser. So if you think that H2 looks good at 2 lines, then you have to set a max width, because if not, it will be in just 1 line in bigger screens. So I'm going to add a max width to both of them. Here I'm going to set a max width to 1000 pixels, and also here to 1000 pixels. So have you seen right now it's moved a little bit to the left? That's because it's not centered. So how do we center this? Here, just click on the element, this text block, and in margin right and left, type auto. That's how you center the element. Same thing with H1, type in margin left and right, auto. So it will keep this proportion, so the maximum width of this container, of this text block, will always be 1000 pixels. Once you're happy with desktop view, then now let's move on to tablet view. So I'm going to click on show borders again and go to tablet view. It looks pretty good, but I think that we can get rid of some padding. So here, select the container, the hero container, and in padding, what we're going to do is bring this down to, instead of 150, let's bring it to 120. See how the container shrinks? And padding right and left, I think we can bring it to 20. I think this looks good. Let's make this text a little bit smaller too. So click on H1, and instead of 64 pixels, let's bring it down to 55 pixels. And H2, we can also bring it down to, let's say, 28 pixels. All right, so this makes sense. And now, if you're happy with this, then let's go to the mobile view. So as you see, what it does, it inherits the styles from the previous device. Okay, so here also, let's start with the hero container. So go back to layout, and here we're going to get rid of more padding. So I'm going to bring it down to 80. And padding right and left, I think it's, let's say 10 pixels. I think this is going to work. Also, let's make this even smaller. So instead of 55 pixels, what we're going to do is bring it down to, let's say here, to 36. And this one over here, I think we're going to bring it down to 18. Okay, so this makes more sense. Let's check it again. Okay, it's looking good. Let's move on to the next section. Below the hero image, I'm going to add an About Us section. I think that in this part of the video, you will understand why I am creating classes, why you will save time if you do the same. Again, in Themes Generator, you do not need to add classes. It's not mandatory. It's just a way to save time. And I think now you'll understand what I mean. So I'm just going to start first, again, creating the container. Let's go back to blocks and scroll down here in layout blocks, drag out the container. So I'm just going to place the container right below this section. And I'm going to add a class. It's going to be called section container. So again, here, click on the plus button and type section container. So this container, I'm going to open the layout, and I'm going to get rid of this max width, type auto, and here in width 100%. I'm also going to add more padding, more top padding and bottom padding. So it's going to be 150 for both, for top and bottom. And I will leave left and right with 40 pixels. Next, I'm going back to blocks, and I'm going to drag out a text block. I'm going to create H3, which will be the title of the section. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit so you can see. And before adding the style, I'm going to create the class. Type here H3. Okay, so now I'm going to close this layout tab and open typography. I'm going to add the styling. I'm going to select the font family, the size, which is 30 pixels. I'm going to center it too, and I'm going to add this gray color over here, which I know the hex code by heart, which is this one over here. It's a really dark gray, so I'm just going to type about us. Now I'm going to drag a percent width box, also a 2-column percent width box. On one side I'm going to add an image, and on the other side I will add some text. So go back to blocks, and down here in layout blocks I'm going to drag out the percent width box. Okay, so first thing I see here is that the H3, this about us title, it's too close to this box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some bottom margin. I'm going to select this block again, and here in layout, go to margin bottom and add, let's say for example, see if 50 is enough. I'm not sure, but let's leave it on 80. Great. So I'm just going to leave it like this. We can always make some more changes. Now on the left, I'm going to add an image, and on the right, I'm going to add the text. I'm going to drag out the image. So drag this image box here. I have my assets ready, and I'm going to bring out the first image, which is this one over here. I'm going to close the assets manager. So I'm going to click on this image. I'm going to add a class, because what I'm going to do with this block is I'm going to duplicate it. That's when you will understand why it's important to use classes, why you will save time. So let's create the class. I'm going to click on the plus button, and I'm going to name it startup image. Right now there's an width is auto and max width is 100%. I'm going to set a maximum width. I think I'm going to, it should be in pixels too. Sorry, right now it's 100 pixels maximum width, but I'm going to change the max width to 600 pixels. You can see how the image is kind of overflowing the box container, because this is 600 pixels. But what you have to do is, I'm going to click on it again, sorry, because it was not clicked, and set the width to 100%, so it will always occupy the size of the container, but it will never be bigger than 600 pixels. I'm going to bring out some text blocks, so I'm going to bring out first text block, which is going to be H4. And before doing any styling, I'm going to drag out the second text block, which is, it will be the paragraph. So click on it, and this is going to be paragraph. I'm going to add some lorem ipsum now. I will explain why I'm not styling anything yet. And just a second. Like this. Great. So to explain why creating classes saves time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this section, okay? These two blocks. And now I will do all the styling. So let's start with H4. So H4, first thing, it has this color over here. So I copy the color. Right now it's in my clipboard, and here in typography, see how these two elements, which are both with H4 class, change. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the styling. Now it's font family is Helvetica. Font size, say like 20 pixels approximately. Yes, let's leave it like this. And now I'm going to style the paragraph. So it's going to have this gray color over here. So this gray color, is this selected? Yes. I have to apply the color, and I'm going to change the font family. Font size, I'll leave it at, yes, let's say 15 or 16. I'm just going to leave it at 15. I'm going to add some letter spacing and also separate the lines. So I'm going to add some line height, a bit more, like this, for example. Okay, so what I want to do also is I want to separate the H4 from the paragraph, so I'm going to add some margin bottom too. So select this element and then add some margin bottom. How does this look? I think it's way too much, so I'm just going to bring it down to 10, for example. So I'm going to hide the borders and see how it looks. Great. I think that I want to separate this text a bit more from the image because it just looks way too close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add padding to the container. So I'm going to click on the container. If you're not sure where you're selecting, so right now it is the main container, but I'm going to click here, the box, the column. So what I'm going to do is add some more padding. So I think that, let's say 20 top, and let's leave it right and left. 40 may look good, and also some padding bottom too. This is looking good. So see how all the elements that have this class applied, they are changing. So this is a way to save time. Now what I want to do is I'm just going to switch sides. So I'm going to drag the columns. Right now I'm clicking on the image. Remember, I'm using the arrow to get the column, and I'm just going to drag it on the other side. So I get this different structure. Also, I see that they are way too close, so same thing to this main container. I'm just going to add some margin bottom. So both of them will also have margin bottom. Maybe 40 pixels looks good, or 50. I think 50 looks better. And also I'm going to change this image over here. So whatever image I change, it also has the same class, and whatever changes I make, let's say for example, I'm going to bring down this to 200. So both of them change to 200 pixels. I'm just going to put it back to 600. It looked way much better than this. Another thing that I'm going to do before moving to desktop view and making other changes is I'm going to set maximum width to this block. The thing is, you have to be careful if you have small screens, because here in your workspace you might see everything centered and nice, but if people view this site afterward, this theme, in bigger screens, then you'll see how right now I just clicked on this this box, and you can see that the maximum width is set to auto. This means that if you have a big screen, then this will occupy all the screen, so it won't look that good. And a recommendation is set a maximum width. In this case, I'm going to set it to 1000 pixels. I like how it looks, so I'm going to move to tablet view. I'm going to click on tablet icon. And what I'm going to do here, same as what I did with the hero image, I'm going to get rid of the padding, and actually I'm going to copy the same. Right now it also has, now I'm going to bring it down, sorry, to 120, just exactly as the hero image, and the padding right and left is 22. The size of this header I think is okay, and what I'm going to do with these blocks is I'm going to change the width, the percentage. So remember, it's the columns what has the percentage, so it will be 100%, so each blocks are one on top of the other. Hope you can see everything on the screen, so I'm just going to type here 100. See how both images now occupy 100%. Right now they are aligned to the left, so I'm going to typography and center aligned it. Now in this other column, in layout, do the same thing. 100% too. I think it's looking good. Okay, it's looking pretty nice. So I'm moving on to mobile view. And same thing here. I'm going to bring down the padding top and bottom, also the padding right and left. Also the margin bottom of H3, now it looks way too big, so you can actually also bring it down a little bit more. Just going to bring it down to 30. That looks better. The padding inside this box now actually also looks way too big too, and I think this looks better. Below About Us, I'm going to add a section with an image background with a parallax effect. I'm going to show you how to do it in Themes Generator. So again, I'm going back to blocks and I'm going to drag out a container. And same thing, I'm going to add a class here. So this is going to be called Parallax Image. Same thing in the layout, maximum width set to auto and width set to 100%. Sorry, to delete this properly. Now, going back to decorations, I'm going to add a background image here. I'm going to click on the plus button so a layer will appear. And I'm going to bring out the image, which is here, ready. And here in the settings, in background repeat, set it to no. I don't want this to repeat. And in background attachment, select fixed. I think you can already tell if I scroll up and down that it has a parallax effect. Now in background position, I'm going to also set it to center top. And the background size, I'm going to set it to cover, so it will cover all the container. And back to the layout, I'm going to add a bit more padding to the top and to the bottom. So padding top, it's same 150, and padding bottom 150. So what I'm going to add here is I'm going to go up to the hero image. So I'm going to add this text with this class. So I just duplicated it. And with this arrows, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it down and make sure I'm placing it inside this container. Actually, what I want to do is just leave one line. So I'm going to leave it like this. And I'm going to duplicate this button here because I'm also going to add it on top of this parallax image. Okay, so right now it's aligned to the left because the container is set to align to the left, but I'm going to center it. So let's see how it looks in other devices. And as you see, we've already styled these elements H2 and the button link, so we don't need to do it again. We've saved that time of editing this element from the beginning, from scratch, and recreating it again. What I do have to do in here in tablet is reduce the padding. I'm going to leave it like that. So it's exactly the same as the other blocks, the other sections. And here leave it to 10. So yeah, that fast. And it's looking pretty good. and it has the parallax effect. Below this section, I'm going to create another section that I will call our services. So our services will also have a section container and some elements inside it, like a title and some boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to duplicate this section, this About Us section, because it will have the same section container with the same styling and also this title. So I'm just going to duplicate it, bring it down where I want it, and just get rid of the elements that I don't want, leave the ones that I want, and drag out new ones. So click here in duplicate. I'm going to scroll down to get the duplicate section and drag it right below this parallax effect. So I'm getting rid of these boxes. I don't need them. And this is our services. This section will have 3 boxes. So these boxes will also have an image and some text inside it. Also want these boxes to have some padding, some space in between them. So what first thing we're going to do is I'm going to drag out a percent width box of 3 columns. Just drag it out. See how I don't have to add the margin bottom here in the title because I already styled it before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to color these boxes. They will have borders. So in this section I will show you how to create borders, how to add them. So they will have yellow and gray boxes. These percent width boxes will keep the proportions. So as I want also some space in between them, and these boxes don't have space, but they're going to help me a lot to design this section, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag out a container. So go back to blocks and drag out container. Now as I can't tell which one is the box that I've just dragged and which one is a column that belongs to the percent width box, you can use the arrows when you get to the first box container with a class that belongs to the percent width box. But I'm going to add a class here because I'm going to create gray and yellow boxes. So first thing is carefully I'm going to use the arrow. Now I know that I'm in the column, inside the first column. So what I want to do is I'm going to add some padding so I can easily work on the containers with no mistake. And also this padding will add the space in between the boxes. Okay? Actually what I'm going to do is before dragging out another container, I'm just going to add the padding to the rest of the columns so it will be easier. Done. Okay, back to the container that I've just dragged. It needs a class, so I'm going to name this gray box. Let's drag out another container inside here. See how it already has the padding, so I don't have to do that anymore. I'm going to add a class which is yellow box. So it'll be gray box, yellow box, and on the right a gray box. So duplicate this container with the gray box class and drag it into the last column. Before adding an image and before adding some text, I'm going to show you how to create the border. So this container is selected. This will have borders. So let's go to decorations. Scroll down, and here you can read border top, border bottom, border right and left. Also, if you're not sure what is the syntax here, you have a cheat sheet. So you just click on syntax sample. Now it's copied to your clipboard. So click on OK. Here in border top, just paste it. As you see, I'm with gray box right now, and I've just added a top border. Right now it's 5 pixels solid. I'm going to bring it down to 3 pixels solid, and I want a specific grade, a grade that we've been using. So I'm going back to color lib. I'm going to grab the color and click here. So if you're happy with how it looks, then just copy it as I did right now. Just select all, copy, and paste it all around. I'm going to do the same thing with the yellow container over here. So syntax sample, same thing. Copy it here. It's in your clipboard. Instead of 5 pixels, it will be 3 pixels solid, and I'm going to grab this yellow that we've been using, and here. Copy it all. And we're done with the borders. I'm going to drag out the image box now. So let's go back to the blocks and go to basic and drag out the image right now. So as I said before, I have everything prepared here. So this is the image, and I'm just going to type a class. It's called image box. Here in layout, let's add a specific width, like for example, see if this is too much. Let's leave it here. I say 50 pixels looks better. And I'm also going to select the container because I want to center this element. So we're going to typography and click here in text align, center it. Now what we can do is we can duplicate these elements and bring it to the other boxes. Also, I'm going to align them, center align them. So the same, click on the containers, the colored containers, and you have it. Now the text that we're going to use here, it's same text as we've been using here. Paragraph. So I'm just going to duplicate this element and bring it down here. I'm going to add some margin bottom. So wait, I'm just going to get rid of the border so you can see. I think it's the image and the text is way too close. So I'm going to click on the image and add here in the layout some margin bottom. Let's say if 10 looks good. It might. So if you're happy with it, just duplicate the element and bring it here. Now I'm going to change this image because I have another yellow icon over here and also another gray icon that I've prepared over here. Whenever you're done, then let's go to tablet view. So now in tablet view, what I'm going to do is, it's still, each of the columns right now have a 33% inherited from this. Sorry, I haven't here. I wasn't selecting the column, sorry. I'm going to repeat again. In tablet view, we still have each column has a 33% width inherited from this view. So I'm going to change it to 100%. So click on the box, on the columns, the percentage columns, and I'm going to click on 100% each. So it will change the view. Now go back to mobile and check if you like how it looks or if you want to make any changes. What we can do, for example, is we can get rid of a little bit of the padding. So you can bring it to 20, because in mobile devices everything's going to look smaller. So we get both gray blocks already changed and now the yellow one. we're basically done with this section. So as you see, we have reused other elements, added new ones, and by adding classes, we've saved time. And if you want to add more, what you can do is to add more boxes like this, just duplicate it. Okay? You can duplicate it and you can move around some of the elements. Like for example, if you want these two to be yellow, what you can do is, let's move the boxes. First I'm going to move the column. And leave this middle one gray, and I'm going to change this one over here. So you can actually delete this container, this gray box, just delete it. Duplicate this one and just drag it out. So what you have to do is just change your text and also just change the image. So we have our full section. We don't have to edit it anymore because we've copied also the styles. And this is how it looks in mobile view. Okay, so let's go for the footer. We're almost done with our startup theme. So now I'm going to design the footer. This is the end of the services section. So what we need now to export this theme into WordPress later on is we need a footer separator. So let's drag it out now. Below this separator, the footer will be here. Okay, I'm going to drag out a container for the footer. So I'm going to show the borders now. So this is the container. I'm going to add a class which is footer container. I'm going to set the maximum width to auto and the width to 100%. I'm going to add some background color, which is this same gray right here. I'm just going to copy it, and here in background color, paste it. It's going to be a simple footer. The logo will be on the left and some social media icons will be on the right. I'm gonna drag the percent width box of 2 columns. Just gonna scroll down a little bit. And so as I said, logo will be on the left, and then on the right will be some social media icons. So I have a logo up here that I'm just going to copy it with the link. Now drag it down and bring it here. I'm going to leave it like this, and now I'm going to add the social media icons, which are going to link to Facebook, Twitter, and so on. First thing that we need is to bring out a link block. So I'm going to bring out the link block, and I'm going to create a class which is social media link. Also, what I want it is to be aligned to the right instead of the left. So click on the container, and here in typography, click on align to the right. So we have our first link here, and now we're going to drag out the image block, and we're going to get it inside there. I have some icons here ready. Click on this one, and this image is going to be social icon. This is the class. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate it several times, and just to change the icon, I'm going to double click and look for the rest of the icons here in my asset manager, like this one, Twitter. Scroll down. So I've been using all these icons for my design, so I'm reusing them actually. And the last one, which is going to be Facebook icon here. Okay, so what we can do is I'm going to hide the borders and see what is missing, or how can we adapt this to a footer with a footer size. Okay, so I think I'm going to add some text below here, below the logo. So we're just going to create a class which is footer text. And okay, now here in typography, set everything to, let's say, now I'm going to bring it to 12 pixels. The color, I'm using the same white that we have been using. Also, these icons are this same white. So I'm going to click on OK. And I'm going to add this spacing. And let's say, for example, type something like all rights reserved. And we're going to hide the borders. So I think the spacing looks okay in between the social icons, but the size is way too big. So I'm going to click on the image, and here in layout I'm going to set a width. So let's bring it to 30. Still too big. Maybe 25 looks a bit better. I'm going to show the borders right now. Okay, so here the link, what we can do is also we're going to center the icons inside it. Like that, same thing here in typography, click on text align, center alignment. And these links have some padding and also a minimum height and a minimum width. So if we bring this down to, let's say, 30, we will save some space and it will look better. Also, I'm going to yes, I'm just actually going to leave this block here. I'm not going to set any maximum width or anything. I'm going to afterwards export it so you guys see how it will look in WordPress and what changes you need to make. I'm just going to add some, let's bring this a little bit down to 150. It looks good. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to save some space too with this link and bringing it down to 40 maybe. Okay, that looks better. And also the padding of the footer container, I'm also going to get rid of it. Say 10, 10, and also right and left is 10. Let's say it looks good. I think I'm going to add another text block below this social icons to make it look a bit more even, because it will be just a simple footer. So I'm going to duplicate this text and drag it here in this column. Great, as the containers, the different columns, one had alignment left and alignment right, then it's respecting it. So here, just type hello at yourdomain.com. Okay, let's leave something like this. It's looking good. Now let's move to tablet view. I think tablet view looks good like this. And now here to mobile view. So I'm going to show the borders again. And careful here because we have to click, make sure we're clicking on the right column. Now I'm in the column, just follow the classes. And here in layout, I'm going to set the width to 100%. Same thing with the other column. Make sure you're selecting that column. And what we're going to do is, instead of aligning it to the left or to the right, I'm going to center it all, because this will make more sense in a mobile device, as you can see. You can also check if you want to get rid of more padding, but basically we're done. Just before we export this theme into WordPress, I'm going to add some links. You've seen how we've added the link block and the icon or the button that we wanted to act as a link. So I'm going to show you how to do it here. So we've added some links here in this button, and also up here in the logo, this other button. So anyways, it will work exactly the same. I'm just going to link an icon here, which is the Twitter. So I'm going to link our Twitter account. Select the link block, okay? I'm going to close all these tabs, and here just exactly below extra we have where we're going to add the URL. And here you can add the title. Here I'm going to add the URL. I have Twitter URL copied to my clipboard, and here in Target you can choose if you want it to open in a new window or in this window. I'm just going to select new window. You do exactly the same with all the links. Just check here in Twitter, we have our Twitter link. The rest of the links work exactly the same. So I have our landing page here. I'm going to copy our domain and I'm going to copy it to the link of the rest of the icons. So for example, here in our logo, I'm going to copy the link here and it's going to open in a new window. Same thing with this button. So new window, and there you go. Same thing with this button over here, and also the logo up here, and also the rest of the icons. I'm just going to leave it like that, but this is how you link an element here in Themes Generator. So I have all the elements that I need for the export, which is the header separator up here, footer separator too. Remember, it's only visible here in your workspace. It won't be visible once you export it into WordPress, and you will see how. So done with this, and here I'm going to click this icon, export to WordPress. Click this button, export WordPress template. I'm covering just a little bit, but it says export WP template. And you'll get a zip file that's being downloaded right now. So log into your backend, your WordPress backend, and then we're going to install this theme and see how it looks. This is also a way to see if there's some mistakes that you've made in the design that are not looking really good. So this is also a way to like double check it. Great, so I'm inside WordPress. So here in appearance, I'm going to add a new theme. Click on upload and choose the file. I have the zip file here in my desktop, so click on it and click on install. So once it's installed, what we have to do is activate it, and we're going to live preview the theme to see how it looks. Activate, and now let's visit the site. Okay, so we're gonna drag down and see how the sections look. Okay, so I think I've seen a mistake. I've actually seen two mistakes. So I did this on purpose. Some of the blocks I've added a maximum width, others I didn't. For example, I didn't add it here in the menu. So this means that if you have very big screens, then the menu and the logo and the menu will be completely on the right and the left of your screen, and these other elements will be centered, and so it wouldn't make a lot of sense to have all this space. So it's always, I would recommend you to add a maximum width to these blocks. These actually have a maximum width, but here the menu, the header, does not have it. And also our services section and the footer does not have it. So that's one thing that we can do. We can add, what we have to do is you go back to Themes Generator and click on the container, the main container of each section. As we can see here, the max width is set to auto. We don't want that. So I want 1200 pixels. Let's go down. I'm going to make sure if these blocks have it. It actually has 1000 pixels. That's not bad. And also these boxes over here. So let's set it to 1002. Yes. And done. And go back to the footer. 1200 pixels. Same thing, if you think that you're done, what you have to do is click on export again. Get this zip once it's downloaded and bring it to your WordPress and install it and view it again. So this is the new theme with the changes, and you can see that these sections look a bit better. I haven't closed the other tab, so you can tell the difference here. This is the old theme. This is the new theme. I'm going to go down to this section, which I think is a bit more clear. Old theme. Sorry, bring down. And new theme with changes. Okay, here we have set maximum width to each block, so that's why it's going to look better. Another fix that I promised you at the beginning of the video was the header. If you remember, the header was too wide in tablet and mobile view. I'm going to go back to Themes Generator, and if you see here, the header is too wide. I'm going to show you how it looks once exported. So you see how the mobile menu appears here. So I think it's too big, so I'm going to show you how to fix this. Let's go back to Themes Generator, and here in tablet view, what I'm going to do is you have to select the column, the container of the menu. Okay, remember, you can use the arrows if you're not sure if you are selecting the right container. I know it's this one right here. I'm sure it is. So what you have to do is go to Layout, and in Margin, we're going to add a negative margin. So here in Margin Top, let's say minus 50 pixels. See how we are bringing this column up? I think it needs a little bit more. Let's say Margin Top 80, or 70. I'm going to hide the borders and see if it's looking better. Actually, it is looking better. Let's check a mobile view. So we can also make some changes here. We can select the image and make it a bit smaller. I'm going to show the borders now. Another thing that we can do is also get rid of some more padding, like right and left. Just leave it to 5, so there's like more space. So what we have to do now is we have to grab the image. Right now we have the column right on top of it. So to grab it, what we're going to do is we're going to our layers panel, and here we're going to select it. So here inside the link, because once you select it, I can find this is the image. See how I've selected the image. Now I'm going to the Style Manager, and I'm going to select a width manually. Let's say 150 pixels or 120. And maybe bring the whole block, including the link, with a margin top a little bit down, so it's exactly the same position as the menu. And if you want, we can also keep on deleting some padding here. Let's say get rid of this one, and also get rid of a little bit of this padding. Okay, so it's looking better. So now I'm just going to export this, and I'm going to bring it into WordPress again. I've exported the theme again, and I've exported the theme and installed it into WordPress with the changes I've exported the theme and I've installed it here in WordPress, and I'm going to show you how it looks with the changes that I've made. So just going to make my browser a bit smaller and see how the header is not that big and how we can fix it using negative margin. Congratulations, you have finished designing your own WordPress theme in Themes Generator from scratch. More videos about Themes Generator are coming out soon, so if you don't want to miss any of them and you want to learn how to use this amazing tool, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You can click on the icon bell right below this video to get notified whenever a video is out so you won't miss any of it. Guys, again, thank you for watching.